When you start living with the end in mind, everything starts to change. What are people going to say about you? What message is your life going to speak when you're long gone? Because you weren't born by accident. You didn't just happen to be where you're at and happen to watch this video. There is always a reason.
All right, everything's on. We're just going to give it a minute or so as Facebook just rolls it out and Instagram rolls it out. Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Hello, good to see you guys on here. What's up, Jerry? Hey, Kaylin, Rosie, Suze, Shilpa, what's up? Francis, Elizabeth, good to see you on here. Saria, Militia, good to see you. Just gonna wait a little bit. Good morning. How are you guys? What's been going on? Anyone have any highlights? Any good highlights to share? Let me know. We're just gonna wait another 45 seconds. Hey, remember to tag your friends. What's up, Mikla? You're starting your program today. The one that you created. Congratulations, Jasmine. Well done. That's awesome. Any more wins? You guys have any more wins? What's up, Arios? Good to see you on here. Hello, Mandy. Good to see you guys on here. I am on no ice creams or chocolates as part of my G63, and I'm struggling with my moods, but pushing through. Congrats. Good stuff, Curie. Lots of wins. Jerry, Instagram. Jerry, you are a laborer. You make it happen. All right, we're good. I've lost 3 kg since starting my exercise. Congratulations. There you go. Wins. It's good to have wins. It's good to know that things are moving. It's good to see results. You know, the kingdom of God is about results. It's not just a matter of talk. And it's not just a matter of theory. It's actually a matter of results, actual transformation, actual action, actual results. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. Last couple of days, last week, the week before, we talked about stamina, developing capacity, kingdom capacity. You know, what I find interesting is right now we are on this journey where a lot of people are seeing that traditional church is not cutting it, is not going to cut it, that it's missing many elements. It's missing many basic things that Jesus talked about is missed in a traditional church setting. And I'm watching this exodus, if you want to call it, or this shift, or this transformation, or this move on different parts of the bridge. You know, everybody realizing there is more, we want more. And in many ways, I feel like my role on this bridge is just helping people take their next step towards actual kingdom expansion, towards their real divine purpose, towards what God actually called us to be and to do. So I'm just fulfilling my role. I meet a lot of people who are very obsessed with their part of the bridge. They don't know how to relate to people in different places, you know, and so it becomes hard because we can't win this as an individual. You know, we are a body. We are not, one part is not the whole body. We are a body, and everybody has a part to play in that body. And I think it's very important in the next decade that we understand love, and that we understand each other, that we understand the desire to be one with one another, to have real conversations, raw conversations, to talk about things that might trigger us, and to explore things together. Because the days of one man standing somewhere and just talking about something and everybody just listen to that person and just kind of do that every Sunday is gone. Those days are gone. We are now moving into a place where everybody is starting to take responsibility. And so I've had some people say, well, Joseph, why are you talking about it then? Why are you standing there talking about it? So the reason I am standing here as one person talking about it is because if we all just go, we're going to leave a massive majority of our body behind. And I know my role is to pull people to pull people into their next step. So some people, their role is to go and forge ahead and be a forerunner and pioneer and do that stuff. But then there are some of us, we are pulling people with us because the bride is the whole body, right? The bride of Christ that he's coming back for is a whole body. It's not one part, one person. So if you're on here, this is what we're doing. I am looking for people that know there is more and they want to move. Then you'll enjoy the things I say and you'll enjoy some of my content. If you are happy just sitting in a building every Sunday and not really changing much, and you're happy not really taking much action or not interested in your divine design or divine purpose, then you probably will not enjoy all these things that I talk about. Right. So I'm specifically speaking to a group of people that have done the church thing or have been through church. They know there is more, but they don't know how to move forward just to help you take your next step. Every person has a role in this body. There is nobody without a role. My pinky has a role. My thumb has a role. All my fingers have a role. My ear has a role. My eyes, my hands, everything has a role. And when my body works in synchronicity, it gets things done. It gets things done. And sadly, we have only seen a way of operating where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5%, 10% of people do some kind of work and everybody else becomes a spectator. And so now our body has lost its synchronicity. And we are learning how to develop this synchronicity where I understand my role in the body, you understand your role in the body, and together we fulfill the body's role. And that is what we're talking about here. So I am speaking to a specific part, and we're going to keep moving. I know I've had a lot of people get annoyed at me or tell me that I should be careful about what I'm saying and say all these kind of things, because I am speaking to both sides of the camp because I want to build a bridge and take as many people across into doing actual kingdom life, living the kingdom life, understanding kingdom identity, into exploring this. I want to take as many people as possible. So I speak to both camps, and usually I get people that get irritated on both sides because some say, just go, don't talk about it. And then some say, I'm happy just sitting in the building. But in both camps in between, there are some people who want to see the body move together, right? So that's what we're on. So when I talk about, are you a laborer or a poser? I give you that question just for you to ask yourself, to provoke you to ask yourself, what am I doing? What am I living for? Do I have a relationship with God that produces fruit? The Bible says that if you abide in the vine, fruit is a byproduct. That means that if you are abiding in Him and Him in you, you can't help but bear fruit. But you can abide in a church, in a system, in a religious way of operating and have no fruit. Right? If we walk into the average gathering where people love God, they love God. You got to hear what I'm saying. I'm not saying you don't love God, but if you walk into the average gathering, people have not been trained to abide. What does it mean to abide? And how do you bear fruit? And so we have a fruit shortage. And what we are doing right now with this conversation is starting to pull people into understanding, as you abide in the vine, you will bear fruit. So are you a laborer? Are you a laborer? Do you do any work? Do you work? And I know a lot of grace people think that you don't work because there's grace and we don't work anymore. But that is a slightly unbalanced view. And I don't want to go into all that kind of stuff. But grace empowers you to work from a place of rest. Grace doesn't excuse you from not working. Jesus came and demonstrated a life that He said you and I can live, right? And if we understand who we are in Him, we live like Him. And He did a lot of work. In 3.5 years, He did so much work that they couldn't even write it all down. So Jesus did a lot of work, but He worked from a place of rest. And so work itself is not the enemy. It's not a problem. It is, where are you working from and why are you working, right? How are you working? These are the things that you want to explore for yourself. But are you a laborer? Because Jesus has an expectation. Our Father has an expectation of His children. And so in the last two sessions, last week, the week before, we talked about being a son. We talked about positional inheritance and principle application, where some people just live by principles, but they have no intimacy. They don't need to know God as a father. They don't need to know Jesus. They don't need to know Holy Spirit. They just do the right things and they live by principles. But on the other side, you can live from your position in Him, which is a much more lively, fun, God-designed way to live, right? So make sure to check that out if you don't know what I'm talking about here. But I just want to go quickly into this. The laborer, what's a laborer? One who works. Very simple. One who works. One who has results. One who works and one who has results. So these sessions that we're doing here are like coaching sessions. So if you want to grab a pen, piece of paper, and you want to start to answer some questions for you, this will help you, right? Answer this question for yourself. Am I one who works in the kingdom? Good question. Am I one who works in the kingdom? And you might want to answer even in the comment section. I'd love to know. Am I one who works in the kingdom? Yes or no? Let me know, right? And then we got poser. What's a poser? And I use this word on purpose because a poser can look the part, sound the part, almost appear to be making the part happen and miss it. In Matthew 7, Jesus says that you will come to Him, Lord, Lord, I've cast out demons, I've done all this work. And He says two interesting things. He says, you get away from me, you who practice lawlessness and who didn't know me. Who didn't know me. And so I bring this up on purpose so that you start to ask yourself this question. Hey, am I a laborer? Am I one that works, or am I a poser? All right? Good question. Or am I one that's misinformed? And this is one that I had to throw in there because so much of our church structure, so much of our training has been around sitting in a building, listening to somebody else speak, and not going deeper on our individual unique assignment, on what we're called to do, what we're called to carry. So why don't you let me know in the comment section, where are you? Do you think you're a laborer? Do you think you're one who works? Right? And nobody else will judge this for you. You can judge for yourself, like I have to judge for myself. Let me know in the comments. Or have you been a poser? Or are you misinformed? And there was a big time in my life where I was misinformed because I thought my job was just to bring people to the building. And I did that as well as I could. So let me know in the comments. I don't know if my connection here is weakened, but I'd love to know your thoughts on here. Let me know. Instagram, we're still on? I think we're still on. Boom. So quickly, let's touch on this. What is the work? You know, it's interesting that in John 5, Jesus is like, my Father has been working until now, and I have been working, right? And he starts to talk about the work of the kingdom. Do you know that your life is not separate? You know, last week I talked about religion, how religion separates everything. Like, so we think religion has created a way of life with God on a Sunday or a Wednesday night if you have a home group, or witnessing, and there are these 5 or 6 things that are the works of God, like works you do with God, and everything else is your life, and we compartmentalize and separate things. But in the kingdom, we understand it's all one. It's all one. And so I just want to bring an awareness to you today that might be a bit sobering of what are you doing? What are you doing? What am I doing? What are we doing? What is your heart motive? Right? And see, some of you are writing, I'm a worker. Great. You know you're a worker. If you don't know, why don't you write in the comments, I don't know. You know, some of you on Instagram already know you're workers because you produce fruit. But Jesus said, pray for more laborers because the laborers are few. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. There are few that want to do the work. We are now coming into a time where we need the workers to move more than ever before. And that is you. You know, so 2 things I just want to bring up here is I met a guy named Wolfgang Simpson a few years ago, and it was quite interesting when he spoke to me about work, and he spoke to me about following Jesus. And he said to me, Joseph, how do you know someone follows Jesus? You know, I was like, oh, you love your neighbor as you love yourself, right? You know, they love Jesus. And that was kind of my thought process there. And then he said, did you know that Jesus gives us 75 commands in the gospel? And I didn't ever see it like that. But there are 75 commands of Christ. You know, and the Bible keeps going on and on about, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. If you love me, you'll keep my commandments. There is this element that is missing that we're talking about today of, if you are walking with God, it looks like something. If you say you love Jesus, it looks like something. Did you know that? Did you know that? You know, so we're getting a few people writing that they're laborers and workers. But I'm just trying to get you to take your next step. All right, today's conversation, just to take your next step. So if you would like a copy of these 75 commands of Christ, I've just taken photos of these from Wolfgang's book, and we can send that to you just here in the comments. Just let me know if you want to have a look at them. But these are basic things that we've all read, but we've never taken as a command. We've never taken them as a command. And I just posted one of them here, just something simple like, you know, if you can read some of that, I don't know if you guys can read some of that, but repent and believe, something simple like that, right? The good news, not the religious news, the good news. Ask and it will be given unto you. Seek and you will find. Like, there are things that we have read, but not as commands, that actually will blow your mind when you read them from the lens of, no, Jesus actually commanded us. Like, one of the things, like, let your light shine. We just think that that's a nice thing to do, that that's a great thing to do. But let your light shine was a command. Well, what is your light? What is your light? Do you even know your light? Do you know your light? Right? Are you a laborer? Are you willing to work? Are you wanting to actually move and produce in the kingdom? So these commands are a great thing because they kind of give you a little feedback on your walk with God. Because you will read some of these and you will be like, I don't ever do that or care about it. I don't want to do something about it. And now you can talk to God about that. Now you can explore that, because there will be some things in here like love your enemies, right? That was not just here's an optional thing. That was a command. Right? And do you have that kind of relationship with God that you are even willing to let him give you a command? You know, a lot of people say Lord and Savior, and we're happy to receive Jesus as a Savior. But are you happy to let him be your Lord? Is he your Lord? What is Lord? Lord, that word Lord is an owner. Will you let him own you? Do you let him own you? It's quite interesting, and what I'm talking about today is very sober. It's quite different to all the other chats, right? But it has to happen. I'm just flowing with this. It has to happen. There is a Lord element, and there are many that will not let him be Lord, will not let him give them commands. All right, so just take this for your own life. Where are you at? What are you like with commands? What do you like with things where he doesn't give you an option? He's like, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. I'm just giving one perspective. Next week, I'll give you another perspective, okay? So we'll send you the 75 commands if you want to look at that. But that's for my friend Wolfgang, who has done a lot of work around this. He's a theologian, been working around this for 40 years. And I thought it was quite interesting. It's good to get feedback, isn't it? Because if you don't have biblical kingdom feedback about how you're walking with God, you might have church feedback. And you might create a feedback that's like, well, I haven't missed a Sunday in a year, so I must be good. All right? I haven't missed worship practice. I haven't missed witnessing, evangelism 101 that we do. I haven't missed those things, so I think I'm all right. And we start to change. Do you understand? Like, you can have a kingdom way of feedback, or you can have your own religious way of feedback. Like, I haven't missed reading the Bible in 30 days, or, you know, I haven't missed praying, and you can create your own little thing that actually means nothing. So 75 commands. You might want to look at that. We can send that to you. So I'm just going to touch on a couple of basic things. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. We've heard that heaps of times, but how many of us actually build connection with our neighbor? Like, let me ask you a real question. Your neighbor, does your neighbor know you? Do your neighbors know you? How do they know you? How much do they know you? Have you ever built a connection? Right? And now you can even remove that neighbor word from not just your physical neighbors, but people that you come across, people that you kind of do life with, your workmates, people that you do projects with, people that you come in touch with all the time, maybe the gas station attendant, maybe someone at your supermarket. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Do you build connection? Have you built connection? Right, these are really simple questions. How much do you care about other people? Do you care about other people? Do you interact with other people? Or is your life predominantly you? Right? These are simple things. Kingdom 101, following Jesus 101 that we're talking about. You know, and some of the things that he mentioned that we talk a lot about are these two things. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Yet we don't quite ask the question, have I been doing that? Do I do that? So I'm asking you that question for yourself. Do you do that? Do I do that? And then make disciples of all nations. What's a disciple? Who is a disciple? Right? These are things you want to start thinking about if you want to be a laborer, because the laborers are few. And Jesus is making reference to this, like, we need laborers. We need laborers. So I'm putting this out to you to say, are you going to go deeper? Are you ready to go deeper? Are you ready to become a disciple and then make disciples? Are you ready to actually start loving your neighbor and loving people as you love yourself? Are you ready to start considering other people and let the kingdom have its work in and through you? You know, this is a sobering question, because let me throw this in here. I keep drawing a comparison, because if I don't draw the comparison, you will take what I am saying and put it into church context. I am not putting this into church context. I'm calling you out. You see, my first 6 years of walking with God and having an amazing church family in the sense of the power of God and all that amazing stuff, my first 6 years was come to my building, come to see my pastor, come to see my leadership team, come to hear my worship team, come to our building that has a presence. It was a come. But actually, when I read the word, Jesus is like, go, go, go. And so I am looking for people that are like, I have a go in me, but I've still not yet gone, or I'm starting to go, or I'm going. And I'm glad to find other people that are going. Do you understand that there is a go? Are you willing to go? To go. And so the things we're talking about considering your neighbor, considering your gas station attendant, considering your supermarket grocer, or your butcher, or people that you repeatedly meet every now and then, or your actual neighbors, considering them is a go. It's a go. It's a switch, a complete switching of how you think, how we think. So I hope you're okay with me having this sobering talk, just straight talk, but we need this. This is how we're going to change the world. It doesn't matter how many amazing meetings you're going to have, which are important. It's important. We can have great revival meetings and people encounter God, and that's all great. But if there is no go at the end of that, we are missing the second half of that equation. Are you ready to go? That's my question to you, right? To go, to look outward, to become a laborer, one that starts asking God, what are we doing today? What are you wanting me to do? That's not focused on me. Me, as in, what are we doing for me, right? You get what I'm saying? So I want to bring up an important part of this, because how you relate to God is going to affect the things that I'm saying to you. And there are 3 different ways that I want to share with you that people relate to God, right? So there is a 4th way. The 4th way is a stranger. Like, people they relate to him like they don't know him and he's somewhere far away. But then there is a slave, a servant, one that wants to work for God. And many of us have been taught that this is how we should be. We should work for God. We should do the work for God, a slave, a servant, take orders, take commands, and just get them done. And that is our role, right? Then we've been told we are a friend of God. We're no longer slaves or servants, but we are also a friend of God, where a friend can get to know him on a deeper level. A friend can understand his heart. A friend might get a few secrets here and there. Then we're told we can be a son. A son receives an inheritance. A son is just like his father or her father, right? A son is not a gender, it's a species. You are a son of God. John 1, 12, 13, you've been given that right to be called a son of God, a child of God. And so these 3 ways of relating to God are very important, because they affect how you do life. When you're a servant, you are always hoping that you're doing the right thing, that you're saying the right thing, that you are performing the right way to earn your wages. Right? A servant, a slave is earning a reward, is earning a prize, is earning for the work that they have done. And so when you have this as your primary mode of operation, every day, every night, you are trying to do the right thing. You're trying to act the right way. You're trying to perform in the right way to earn your reward. Because if you don't do it right, you don't believe that you are going to get a reward. A friend is hanging out, and a friend gets a bit deeper. A friend can receive some gifts, but a friend is not related. A friend still has their own life, and God has his own life. And so when you relate to God as a friend, you can feel a little more relaxed, a little deeper, but you are still not understanding the fullness of what Jesus paid for on the cross. Right? And a son is as in can be in dad's work and dad's business. So let me give you an example. Let's imagine that I have a business. Okay, I have a business. Right? I love that Jesus said, I'm about my Father's business. So let's imagine I have a business and somebody comes in and they are an employee. They work for me. They're a servant or a slave or the employee. Like they work for me. So when they come into my business, if they're an employee, they come in at a certain time, 9 o'clock we start. So they make sure they're there at 9, 5 o'clock we finish. So they leave at 5. At lunchtime, they want to break. And they have an agreement with me where they have an hourly rate, right? They have an hourly rate. So they get paid for showing up, doing some work, and then leaving. But that slave's thinking is a 9 to 5 mentality. I'm here to work. I only know the things and learn the things that I need to because of my job in the business, because of my role in the business, right? And so they might learn, let's say I have a sunglasses shop and they learn about different types of sunglasses. They learn what they cost. They learn how to greet a customer. They learn how to sell a customer. They learn how to be part of the business, but only to the level that they are going to get paid. When somebody comes in and asks them for some things outside of their work hours, they're not there to help because they're an employee. They're not getting paid for that. They're done. They're out, right? They only know the business to the level to which they are getting paid or getting a reward. Are you understanding the allegory here? Slaves and servants, they're people who work for God. They want to do all the right things in his business. They want to do that stuff, but they do it to earn. They want to earn heaven, or they want to earn brownie points. Like some people think that because they do stuff, they get blessed. They don't get blessed because of who Jesus is and what he did. They get blessed because of what they do, right? And so a slave, servant, employee has a mindset that is based around, I will work and I will earn and I will get, and there is a certain time frame, but after 5 o'clock, I check out. Right? Like on Sunday is my work day. On Wednesday night is my work day. On Thursday is my work day. But then I check out. Then I live my normal life. I do whatever I want. I make decisions how I want. I spend my money how I want. Spend my time how I want because it's my time. But then when I come on Sunday to do the church thing, it's God's time. I'm working for him. Are you getting what I'm saying? Employee thinking. You can relate to God like that, and it will affect everything you do. It will affect everything you do. Then I could have a friend who comes into my business, and my friend comes in and he's getting to know the business on a different way. He kind of wants to, I would share with my friend if my business is successful, if it's being successful. I will share with my friend the goal of my business, what my objective is, what I'm trying to achieve. Right? My friend, he has a bit more of the inside story. He gets a little bit more, some of the secrets. My friend comes in, he gets a bit more, he gets some perks. He gets some perks in the shop. Like he can sit with me behind the counter. He can come to the back room every now and then. My friend is not limited to a time frame. And my friend, because of his love for me, will be willing to help me. Like if somebody was in my sunglasses shop and they broke some, and I need it swept up, maybe my friend is willing to help me. Maybe I have new stock that comes into my shop and it needs to be arranged, and it's a Saturday and I call my friend and he might be willing to help me as a friend do a little bit of extra work, right? So as a friend, he comes in, he understands the shop, he understands the business, he understands what I'm doing a little bit more than just an employee. He's going a little bit deeper to my heart. He cares about me a little bit. My employee doesn't have to care about me. My employee just needs the pay. They just need their pay slip. Are you following me? Let me know in the comments. I'm not seeing many comments. I don't know if it's because of my connection. But let me know if you're following me, okay? So a friend can go a little bit more. But a son, when my son comes into my business, my whole business that I'm running is actually my son's. How many of you see this? That when my son comes in, he gets access to everything, from the books, from the profit, the money, the cost. He gets access to everything. He knows why we're doing it. He knows the purpose. He knows how it runs, right? My son, because he is my son, this whole business, I'm growing it for him. Because one day I'm going to leave, I'm going to pass it on to him. So my son understands inheritance. My son has a different heart motive. My son might show up to my shop at 7 o'clock instead of 9 like the employee. And he might leave at 11 o'clock at night instead of 5 o'clock as employee. My son understands that he works like an employee or a slave or a servant. He serves. My son understands he's also my friend because I share with him secrets because he's deep in there and we laugh and joke and eat lunch together, right? Which I probably won't do with an employee, but I'm eating lunch with my friend. I will eat lunch with my son. My son can be a friend, but he also has an inheritance. My son is all in one. How do you relate to God? Because the things that I'm talking about today, if you relate to him as a slave or a servant, you will keep thinking that you have to perform, you have to earn wages. And now you are not serving because you have serving in your heart. You're serving to get. You're serving to belong. You're serving hoping that your boss will accept you. Are you getting what I'm saying? And a lot of people do that with God. They actually don't know where they stand with God. So everything they do every day is from this place of hopefully I will serve well. I will serve well. You know, when Jesus starts his ministry, God is like, this is my son in whom I'm well pleased. Not this is my servant who has been trained amazingly. This is my friend who's ready to do some work. No, this is my son in whom I'm well pleased. This is before he starts any ministry. Before he starts it, when he gets baptized. All right, so first I talked to you about laborer because a laborer, like Jesus said, pray for laborers. There is work to be done. See, a son understands that there is work to be done and he does the work, but he doesn't do the work to earn or to belong. A son does the work because it's part of his inheritance. A son sees the earth like his father sees the earth. A son sees the problems on the planet like his father sees the problems on the planet. A son seeks to serve like his father seeks to serve. A son seeks to solve like his father seeks to solve. A son does everything that a slave, a servant, employee does. He's everything that a friend does because he knows his position or her position with his or her father. So we talk.
Hey guys, I just want to tell you about our Royal Hybrids group coaching program. Over a year ago, the Lord started speaking to me about a group of people, a tribe that would only get their value, their affirmation, that would only get their identity from who they are in God and nothing else. And from that place, they were going to do great things on the earth. In the last year, we have seen a whole bunch of people jump into our program, solidify themselves in their identity with God, and from that place start to engage their purpose. Fuse Life talks about the 6 trees: your spirit, your soul, your body, and then your relationships, your finances, and your purpose. We have seen a whole bunch of people come through this, get solidified in who they are, and then begin their own projects, whether it's a teen mums project, whether it's a coaching, counseling business, or a painting business, publishing your children's book, publishing a puzzle book. We have seen people do all of these kind of things, and we just know that this is just the beginning. So you want to go to www.fusebornformore.com/royal hybrid. words, or just click the link in the caption and make sure to check out what we are doing. We would love to have you as part of our tribe. Now, back to the podcast.
So we talk about labor, and it's important that you engage works. We talk about that there are things that you do, that there are commands that you follow. But it's quite interesting that the Bible says, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. And a servant can read that as, oh, if I keep my commandments, that must mean that I love him. A servant will read it like that. A son reads it like, if I love him, as I engage him, I will automatically keep the commandments. My love for him, because of his love for me, compels me to keep the commandments. Hear what I'm saying, okay? If you get this, it'll change your life. A servant thinks, if I keep the commandments, like these 75 commands of Christ that some of you got. There are a few people that jumped off this conversation. They only got half the biscuit. Right? Because this is the main part here. A servant thinks that when I keep the commandments, that must mean that I love God. This is how most of us read things, because we've been trained like these servants and slaves and employees. A son reads that as I engage God's love, if I let him love me, if I love him, I will automatically keep the commands. Are you with me? They're two different things. One is very freeing. One is very binding. One is very binding, right? Here is another thing. When a servant makes a mistake, who pays? The servant pays. The servant pays. When a son makes a mistake, the father pays. When a friend makes a mistake, it can go either way. Let's move friend for now, okay? When a servant is playing with the sunglasses and they drop and they break, who pays? It comes out of their wages. It comes out of the servant's wages. But when a son drops the sunglasses and it breaks, his father pays. His father pays. How do you relate to God? Because when you make mistakes, how you respond to them will reveal to you whether you still think you're a servant, employee, or you're a son. Are you with me? How you relate to God affects everything. So there are some people who are scared to start laboring with God because they don't want to get it wrong. The son understands that he's just going to grow and mature. A son understands that he's going to grow and mature into whatever God is calling him into. You know, like, it's good that somebody mentioned this here, like, dude, I would make my boys pay, and I know you're joking, and that's true. Like, for principle, we might make our children pay, but at the end of all of this, we end up paying everything for our kids. Like, for example, one of the great examples of this is when it's Father's Day, right? My daughter's mother gives them father's money to buy father a gift. Are you with me? You get what I'm saying? A son understands John 5, 17, 18, 19, probably 17 and 19. The son understands that apart from the father, I can do nothing. So when I make a mistake, apart from the father, I can't fix it. When I stuff things up, apart from the father, I can't sort it out. But a slave looks to dock their pay. They're like, I'll exchange my pay to pay for this. I'll pay for this. I'll pay for this. So how you relate to God matters, because your desire to be a laborer, your desire to go deeper, is totally hinging on how you operate here. So what happens is some people, they serve God, they engage laboring, they engage an assignment or something like that, and it gets wrong, something goes wrong, and then they quit, they run away for a while. Then they come back and do it again, they get re-employed, and then they quit, and then they get re-employed, and they spend their whole walk with God like that. But what if you could just choose to be son and never quit, never leave? Because Papa paid anyway. Because Papa's going to pay anyway. Are you with me? Laborer, how do you relate to God? So you want to answer these questions for yourself, okay? On today's sobering conversation. So there's three things. And most of you have heard this over and over again, but let me say it again. Your identity, your assignment, and your maturity. These are the things that matter. So when you're a son and you know your identity, you have a gas tank that will never run out. Have you ever met People that have good times, bad times, good times, bad times. They feel on fire with God, then they disappear. Then they come back on fire with God and they disappear. It's because they don't have the right gas tank. They don't understand that their identity is son. So they keep running out of gas. When you are a performer, you will run out of gas. When you are trying to do everything in your strength, you're going to run out of gas. When you understand that apart from the Father, you can do nothing, and you practice being a child of God, you start to build a gas tank that never runs out. So that's number one. To be a laborer, you need to understand your gas tank. Only a son is willing to do things that don't make sense. Like Jesus going to the cross did not make sense. But as a son, he just obeyed. All of the apostles in the Bible had crazy deaths, right? And 11 of them, they live and they went. They all had crazy deaths, but they all chose it. They were voluntarily walking into things that other people would not choose. Why? Because they understood their identity. They understood their identity. Everything comes under the kingdom and the king, and they enjoy the journey with him as a son, right? Number two, you need to understand your assignment. There are many people who think their assignment is to go and do the church thing. I remember meeting a pastor who actually was not a good pastor, right? And I can say that I'm not judging him. I'm judging the function. Please understand the separation here. Like, for example, if I start dancing right now, very quickly, you guys will say he's not a good dancer. That doesn't mean I'm not a good person, right? I'm just not good at dancing. Or if I start drawing right now, very quickly, you guys will know, oh, this guy can't draw. This guy can't draw. So I remember meeting a guy who's not a pastor. He didn't have interest in getting to know people on a deep level and loving people and shepherding people, things that a pastor would do. He didn't have interest in that. He didn't have interest. He had more interest in creative design. He was very good and passionate and very skillful at creative design and doing art for business. He was very good for creating things for businesses. And that's what he did before he took up the job as a pastor. He wasn't, but he chose the assignment of a pastor because he thought that was what he has to do. And I had this conversation with him and I asked him, hey, what do you love? What's your passion? What are you good at? And we talked about it, and he came alive when he talked about that. And then we start talking about being a pastor, and it was back to dead self. Do you know God has a divine assignment for you where he wants to use you? He wants to use you. He divinely designed you for something, and it doesn't have to look churchy. In fact, for most of you, it's not going to look like that. What is your assignment? Do you know your assignment? I know people that have started churches, started this, because it's the right thing to do, but it's not their assignment. When you are in your assignment, favor, you will see so much favor and divine positioning that you will know that it's not your own strength. You will know that you're moving on something bigger than you. What is your assignment? Do you know your assignment? And then lastly, maturity. You start to understand that you are growing and maturing and you are becoming just like your Father in heaven. You love those who hate you. You bless those who curse you. You pray for those who use you. You're unoffendable, unhurtable. You can't get offended. People can't hurt you like that. You start living in a different place. And that happens when you grow in maturity. These three things are very important. But if you don't understand being a son, like we talked about, right? If you don't understand identity, you will pick an assignment that you think is going to pay you the most. You will pick an assignment that you think is going to give you the brownie points with God. Like there are some people I know who think that because they think they get more brownie points being a preacher or being a pastor or being a minister because they think that is more important than doing what God is showing you. And that's how people have been trained. And so if you don't understand your identity as a son, you will pick the assignment that gives you the most brownie points. And most people think the brownie points are worship leader, pastor, serving the church, apostle, prophet, becoming something that in a building. When really your assignment might look completely different. Today, all around the world, we are seeing in governments the lack of kingdom sons because they ran away from their assignment. They weren't trained for their assignment. We're seeing not enough people in parliament who are making all the legislations. Why don't we have more kingdom citizens here? Because we created so many religious nuts who don't know how to operate in their assignment. You got to hear what I'm saying, man. There are some people right now who are in positions of prominence doing their best. They're in a covert assignment. See, assignments are not always overt. You're not always like, if you go by church thinking, you think that your assignment has to be overt, like you're telling everybody, oh, you should, no. You have covert assignments too. And many people have not taken up their covert assignment because it doesn't give you brownie points like church has taught us. Because we think that if you have a mic and you're inviting people to get saved, that it's more important than if God has given you an invention to change the water crisis in the world today. It doesn't work like that. So when you understand you're a son, you will take up your real assignment. Let me leave you with this. I've gone way too long on this, but let me leave you with this. When Jesus was born, right, as a baby, God sends magi, not 3 wise men, but a group of magi who are astrologers, who read the stars and the sun, and they operate and all that. God sends them to come and bless the king. He doesn't send someone within the system. He sends someone from outside the system to come and bless the king over the next 3 years, to set them up. You got to understand that your assignment, many of you need to break your mindset and really ask God, what is my assignment? Because it's probably outside of your box, outside of your religious box. There are a lot of people who've said no to their assignment because it doesn't directly lead to somebody getting saved. See, when you're a slave, you're trying to earn it there. When you're a son, you just do what you see your father doing. Jesus walked into the pool of Bethesda, and there were so many people that were sick. But he speaks to one man, and he says, pick up your mat and walk. He didn't go to everybody. He just understood, man, I'm just going to do my assignment. I only do what I see my father doing. Apart from my father, I can do nothing. John 5:19. Jesus was a free man. If you want to understand your assignment, you better understand you're a son and that you're a free son. Otherwise, you're going to start picking assignments that you need brownie points for. Do you understand? Like a lot of my assignment, there's no brownie points because I cause tension. I speak things that are true and real and raw and sobering. These conversations we're having, they're not going to get me followers. They're not going to get me fans. Do you understand? Like they're actually going to get people angry. Like somebody put an angry face here. But it might be my mistake. But you get what I'm saying. Like, but I need to do my assignment. I can't pick the brownie point thing. Can I tell you that me and my wife, we were driving on the motorway the other day and we saw this big billboard and there was some kind of pastors on this billboard of a big church. They might have been associate pastors. And we were thinking, man, like, imagine if we chose that life. We could have chosen that life where we just try and work up a leadership ladder and look amazing and everybody would love us in this building. But instead, here is God going, Joseph, come on, are you going to walk the narrow road? Are you going to ask the hard questions? Are you going to coach people? Are you going to move into this? Are you going to move into this? So are you going to pick your assignment? Because mostly there's the brownie points you're looking for in this realm. The real brownie points are in another realm. And all the apostles understood that. Jesus understood that. And every real laborer, every disciple understands that the real brownie points are not in this. The real brownie points are not in this realm. You get what I'm saying? So understand your assignment. You need to explore that. And the last thing, maturity, you are going to keep growing in the likeness of your Father. So right now, if somebody curses you and you curse them back, if you're a slave, you think you're disqualified. And now you're like, oh, I made a mistake. I'm so bad. But if you're a son, you understand, oh man, I'm not quite there, but I want to get there and I will get there. You become like your father the more time you spend with him. The more life you do with your father, the more you become like your father. All right. And it's also in your DNA. John 1:12-13, it says you are now born of God. You are born of God. So you're just like your dad. Just like your dad. All right. So there are parts that you are just like your dad in your very being. And then there are parts that you're just like your dad in how you do life with him. Are you going to choose maturity to grow and mature? Grow and mature. Sobering chat. I know, not very woo-woo. I know, but very important. Are you going to be a laborer? I'm looking for laborers. And I hope you're going to choose to be a laborer. All right. A laborer is a son who takes the responsibility of his father's business. And that's what Jesus did. He said, I am about my father's business. I am about my Father's business. So I choose my assignment, and I need you to choose your assignment, because as a body, we need that. I have a lot of friends who are gone and they're doing their assignment and they think everyone else should be doing what they're doing. But I understand that we need the body. We got to go together, and we can't go together if we don't talk about this stuff. I need you to engage your assignment. This is bigger than you. This is bigger than you. You were divinely designed for this time for a reason. Engage it. Have works. Have fruit that comes from the gas tank of sonship. That comes from the gas tank of sonship. I hope that made sense. Do you guys get something from today? Let me know. I want to know. Did you get something from today? You know, a laborer as a son is not trying to qualify. He already qualifies. So he just engages. I've made so many mistakes. I've made mistakes online. I've made mistakes on lives. I've made mistakes. I'm happy to apologize and keep moving, because my Father pays. The kingdom pays for everything. When you operate in the kingdom pays for everything. Let me say one last thing here. If you have an assignment that has a lot of money involved, God already has the money. He just needs you in the position. And for you to come into that position, you got to mature into it and be willing to step in your assignment. God already has every resource you will ever need. A son is so free, they don't care. I'm going to give you a real life example, okay? Like, for example, there's about 27 people watching this, right? Maybe two people on Instagram. Like, I actually don't care. There was a time when I cared. Probably 6 years ago, I cared. I cared when I put a video, how many people watch and who comments. I cared how many people engage. I cared about the things that this realm said were important. But in the other realm, just obedience opens doors that you can't even see. You can't even see. In the kingdom, reach is measured through depth. I would rather have 26 people that are engaging with me, but you're engaging and we are walking this out together, than 2,600, but you do nothing with your life. Jesus would rather have 12 that will walk with him and do something in their life than have the thousands who just want the miracles, they want the bread, they want the fish, they want the healings, deliverances, but they don't want to walk. You know the thing about a disciple? A disciple wants to know what their rabbi knows, do what their rabbi does, and be who their rabbi is. That's a real disciple. I'm going to say that again. A disciple wants to know what their rabbi knows, do what their rabbi does, and be who their rabbi is. Who is your rabbi? Yeshua is your rabbi. So if you're a true disciple, you want to know what Yeshua knows. You want to do what Yeshua does. And he proved it to you in the word of how he did things. And you want to be who Yeshua is. Your true rabbi. That's how you know you're a disciple. A laborer. But you got to get out of the religious mindset, because I'm telling you, some of you have disqualified yourself because some person who had a mic thought that they're better than you. Some of you disqualify yourself because you might have been married to the wrong man and you have problems in your house. So you disqualify yourself. That's what a servant thinks. Because a servant tries to qualify and disqualify. A son understands that their father qualifies them. Some of you disqualified yourself because you had a hard marriage or you got divorced. You made that rule. Some of you disqualify yourself because you think you can't speak English that well, or you didn't study in school. Some of you disqualify yourself because somebody told you you have this one gift and you just stick in that one gift like as if you have nothing else to offer. Some of you do not let people see you, right, in public, and God's been calling you to be seen and you're hiding this whole time. Why? Why? Some of you are going to have to learn to take your seat that your Father has given you. Honestly, some of you on the call here, some of you that I know, it's your time. Will you take your next step? You know, I'm looking for people that will start discipleship groups and take responsibility and start gatherings. And there are so many that don't want to do that. I'm like, then what are you doing with God? Right? Because if you understand identity, you want to grow the family of God. If I'm a son, I'm going to grow my family. I want to make room for more people to come into the family. Let's eat together. Let's do life together. Let's explore the word together, right? Not religious stuff. But then in my assignment, I'm expanding his territory on the planet. I care about these things because I'm a son and my father cares about these things. When are you going to start caring about the things your father cares about? You getting what I'm saying? And so you're engaging your assignment, but you're also growing the family. You're getting in small groups. You're learning how to read the word together. You're inviting other people into the journey. You're not trying to make Christians. You're growing your family. You're growing your family. You get what I'm saying? If you can get this, it's going to help us. The game's going to change, man. Come on, laborer. Come on, son. Come on, child of God. It's time. So if you're ready to move, move. Here are some things to help you. There's free training in the description, in Facebook, in the bio, IamJosephWilson.com. If you click on there, there's free training on there. 2 very important ones. One is on how to walk as a king or a queen, how to walk in royalty. There's free training on there. Go and get that. Watch that video. Do the homework. It's going to help you. There's a workbook in there too. It's going to help you. Do that, okay? There's another free training on the purpose equals I am stuff. I have a framework that will help you understand your purpose. Jump and watch that free training. My heart's objective is that you move. So go and do that free training, or you can direct message me. If anything I said hit you in the heart, direct message me. But otherwise, that's me done, man. That's my assignment. I'm fulfilling it. I hope you are too. I love you lots. Thank you for letting me be real and raw with you. Next week might be a bit more woo-woo, but I think we got it done today. Hope you got it. So bless you. Love you lots. Share this with people that you know would be interested, but make sure they watch till the end. Otherwise, they'll only get half the picture. They'll only get half the story, okay? It's time. Let's do this. Love you lots. Talk soon.
Faith and patience. Faith and patience. Patience means allow it to happen. Stay the same. Stay persistent. Keep going. Faith, know that it can happen at any moment. Get excited because it can happen at any moment. You were so close. Don't quit now. Keep pushing. You got this.